We will take the national as well as the full anthems. Thank you very much. Can we take our seats? Can we double the applause for the country's leading University of Technology? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my Lord Spiritual and Temporal, delegates from Women in Science for Developing Nations here, my Lord Spiritual and Temporal, leaders of our academic community, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our Vice Chancellor, Professor Adenike Temidayo Oladiji, I welcome you to the 182nd in the inaugural lecture series of our university. Today's lecture is titled Food Chemical Constituents and Their Value Addition, Prospect for Enhanced Food Security and Livelihood. It will be delivered by Oluwatoyin Aletor, Professor of Food Chemistry and Analysis. A round of applause for the inaugural lecturer, please. In tandem with the established tradition of our university, this lecture will be chairman by the leader of our academic community, the very first female vice chancellor of our great university, Professor Adenike Temidayo Oladiji. A round of applause for Madam Vice Chancellor, please. With the Vice Chancellor are the leaders of our university. First on my list is the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic, Professor Taiwo Timothy Amos. A round of applause for him, please. The Registrar is today being represented by Dr. Olanrewaju Ajayi. A round of applause for the representative of the Vice Chancellor. The Chancellor of the Exchequer, Abosa, is also in representation. And the person standing in for him is one of the leaders of the bursary, Mr. Abraham Fabusuyi. We welcome you, sir. We also welcome the librarian of our institution, Dr. Robert Akinade Awoyemi. A round of applause for our university librarian. All our deans are also here. Let me start with the Dean School of Environmental Technology, who also doubles as the chairman committee of deans, Professor Isaac Olaniyi Aje. I welcome with deference the Dean School of Agriculture and Agricultural Technology, Professor Oluwatoyin Faramade Oludaunsi. I also welcome the Acting Provost, College of Health Sciences, Professor Victor Ukwenya. You are welcome, sir. The Dean School of Basic Medical Sciences, Professor Akim Olalekan Lawal. You are welcome. The Dean School of Computing is also in representation, and the person standing in for him is one of the erudite professors from that school, Professor Bamidele Kuboye. We welcome you. For the School of Infrastructure, Mineral and Manufacturing Engineering, the Dean is also being represented by Professor Muhyiddin Saliu. You are welcome, sir. The Dean School of Electrical and Systems Engineering is here in person. Professor Adegoke Oladipo Melody. We welcome you, sir. The Dean School of Health and Mineral Sciences is represented by Professor John Amigun. You are welcome, sir. I welcome Professor Olayemi Oladende Simon Oke, the Dean School of Logistics and Innovation Technology. I also welcome the Dean School of Life Sciences, Professor Michael Olufemi Ashamon. You are welcome, sir. We also welcome the Dean School of Physical Sciences, Professor Femi Barnabas Adebola. You are welcome, sir. I welcome the Dean School of Postgraduate Studies, Professor Oluwayo Bello Olusoji. You are welcome, sir. I also welcome the Dean that commands the largest contingent of forces on this campus, Dean Student Affairs Division, Professor David Olanrewaju. You are welcome, sir. Dean Student Affairs Division. At this point, it is my pleasure and privilege to invite to the podium the chairperson of today's occasion, our Vice Chancellor, Professor Adenike Temidayo Oladiji, to deliver our address. Madam Vice Chancellor, ma'am.
The Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic, former Vice Chancellors of FUTA here present. Professor Balogun, Adebisi Balogun is here, and former Acting Vice Chancellor of FUTA, Professor Fashake. The Registrar and other Principal Officers, other former Principal Officers here present, my lords, spiritual and temporal, top government functionaries here present, the inaugural lecturer of today, Professor Oluwatoyin Aletor, deans, directors, and heads of department, particularly the Dean of the School of Agric and Agric Technology, distinguished members of Senate and congregation, eminent scholars and friends of the university, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you with great pleasure to the 182nd inaugural lecture of the Federal University of Technology, Akure. I warmly welcome our spiritual and traditional leaders, top government functionaries, captains of industries, friends of the university, and the entire staff and students of our great university. I am delighted to welcome the immediate and extended family members, friends, and well-wishers of the inaugural lecturer. I felicitate Professor Oluwatoyin Aletor on this academic milestone. May I, at this juncture, request the inaugural lecturer to please rise while I present our citation. Oluwatoyin Aletor was born on the 7th of July, 1964 in Ibadan, Oyo State. He had his secondary education at Anglican Girls Grammar School, Ijebu-Ode, between 1977 and 1982. He attended Federal University of Technology, Akure, where he studied, graduated with BTech Industrial Chemistry in 1991, MTech Analytical Chemistry in 1999, and PhD Food Chemistry in 2008. Oluwatoyin Aletor joined the services of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, as assistant lecturer in the Department of Chemistry on the 10th of October, year 2000, and was appointed professor in the year 2019. Professor Oluwatoyin Aletor has supervised many undergraduate projects, over 25 master's degree dissertations, and 3 PhD theses. She has also served as external examiner to several universities in Nigeria. Professor Aletor's research focuses on food, mainly their chemical composition, nutritive and anti-nutritive characteristics, functional properties, and nutraceutical attributes. She has authored over 35 publications in both local and international journals. She is a reviewer for many academic and professional journals, including the Wessex Institute of Technology Press, Southampton, UK, and the Journal of Food Measurement and Characterization. Some of her works have also been presented at national and international conferences, workshops in the United Kingdom, United States of America, and Germany, among many other places. The conduct and dissemination of some of these research efforts have been facilitated through travel and research grants from the university, World Bank, that is the STEP B project, and Ford Foundation. Professor Oluwatoyin Aletor is a member of Chemical Society of Nigeria, Institute of Chartered Chemists Society of Nigeria, Organization for the Women in Science for the Developing World, OWSD. She has had years of experience, both in lectureship and management positions in the university system, and has served the university in many capacities, such as serving as the coordinator, departmental postgraduate diploma program between year 2010 and 2015, departmental and school appointment and promotions committee member, departmental excellence and productivity award committee, member, the School of Physical Sciences Annual Lecture Committee, and member, School of Physical Sciences Annual Academic Conference Committee. Professor Oluwatoyin is married, and the union is blessed with children. The lecture of today focuses on the chemical composition, nutritive and anti-nutritive characteristics, functional properties of non-conventional and underutilized edible leaves, legumes, as well as some traditional Nigerian snacks and cakes. The lecture is expected to enlighten us on the compelling need to enhance the quality and nutrition of the low-quality foods and curtail the incidences of food insecurity. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have before us this day a distinguished scholar to present the 182nd inaugural lecture of the university titled Food Chemical Constituents and Their Value Addition, Prospects for Enhanced Food Security and Livelihood. Please join me as I welcome Professor Oluwatoyin, Aletor. Thank you.
The Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, Deputy Vice Chancellor Development, the Registrar, other principal officers of the university, deans, directors, and heads of departments and units, fellow professors and academic colleagues, my Lord, spiritual and temporal, distinguished guests and friends of the university, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, great Futarians. Preamble. Sing and make music from your heart to the Lord, always giving thanks to God, the Father, for everything, in the name of Lord Jesus Christ. Colossians 27, verse 3. The above verse is one of my favorite verses when I think of God's goodness in my life. Madam Vice Chancellor, it is with great honor and thankfulness to the great I am that I am, the mighty man in battle, to stand before this honorable gathering today, 8th July 2025, to deliver the 82nd inaugural lecture titled Food Chemical Constituents and Their Value Addition, Prospect for Enhanced Food Security and Livelihood, in the School of Physical Sciences, in the Department of Chemistry of this great citadel of knowledge, the Federal University of Technology, Akure, Nigeria. This inaugural lecture is the 6th in the Department of Chemistry. It is the second to be delivered by a woman in the Department of Chemistry, and third to be delivered in the School of Physical Sciences. Madam Vice Chancellor, my journey as a food chemist started when I was admitted into the Department of Chemistry, the Federal University of Technology, Akure, in 1986. In my final year as an undergraduate student, the topic of my research work was chemical analysis of ehuru, African nutmeg, Bonodora myristicum, and Efu, Biocarpus kindali. My master's degree research work was titled Chemical Composition of Common Leafy Vegetables and Functional Properties of their Leaf Protein Concentrate, which was published in Food Chemistry, Aletor et al. 2002. I started my teaching and research career in 2000 when I was employed as an assistant lecturer in the Department of Chemistry. My interest in the area of food chemistry was further encouraged while carrying out research for my doctorate titled Physicochemical and Nutritive Characteristics of some Conventional and Alternative Protein Concentrates. The research findings gave interesting views into the potential of plant leaf protein concentrates as alternatives to the expensive animal protein. Aletor 2010A, Aletor 2010B, Aletor 2011, Aletor and Adebayo 2012, Aletor 2012. The chemical composition of food, the food chemical composition. The chemical composition of food plays a crucial role in human health and well-being. There is a relationship between the components of our diet and their impact on disease prevention and management. The balance of micronutrients such as carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, along with micronutrients including vitamins and minerals, directly influences various aspects of human and animal health. Understanding the chemical composition of food is essential for creating dietary recommendations that promote well-being. Also, analyzing the chemical composition of food helps in addressing specific nutritional needs for individuals with certain health conditions. What is food chemistry? Food chemistry, it is the study of chemical processes and interaction of all biological and non-biological components of food. It is not just part of food science, but the major stepstone for food making. It converts the basic composition, structure, and properties of food and the chemical changes occurring during processing and utilization. It also covers the chemistry of water, carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and bioactive substances. In addition, it encompasses types of food processing techniques that provide the knowledge to develop better quality, safer, and nutritious products for consumers. This discipline also encompasses how products change under certain food processing techniques and ways either to enhance or to prevent them from happening. Value addition of traditional foods. Value addition is to economically add value to a product by changing its current place, time, and from one set of characteristics that are more preferred in the marketplace. This action provides important benefits, which include increased income, employment creation, improved food safety, food security, nutritional benefits, and greater consumer confidence. Other advantages are these products may be convenient, more attractive, more palatable, or easier to use than its raw ingredient. It may serve the purpose of mitigating hidden hunger and therefore enhance food security. Chemicals are essential building blocks. What are chemicals in food? They are essential building blocks for everything in the world. All living matter, including man, animal, and plant, consists of chemicals. All food is made of chemical substances. Chemicals in food are largely harmless and often desirable, and they play important roles in food production and preservation. Some chemicals, as shown in Figure 1, can, however, have a variety of toxicological properties, some of which might cause effect in humans and animals when they are exposed to them for a long time. In recent years, consumers have become increasingly concerned about the safety and quality of food supply to ensure that food supplies meets the highest standard of safety and nutritional quality. Robust and state-of-the-art analytical methods are essential for all food products. Assessment of food nutrient chemicals. Food nutritional analysis or assessment is a prerequisite for ascertaining product quality. It is used in implementing regulatory enforcement and compliance with national and international food standards. The assessment of chemical composition is necessary because food is usually made from a variety of different chemical components. In addition, food is always prone to structural modification through storage and processing. Knowledge of chemical and biochemical composition of food is important to health, well-being, and safety of products to the consumers. Food analysis demands chemical determination at different levels for different purposes, and this may involve a number of steps as shown in Figure 2. What are chemical nutrients? They are substances found in food that are required by the body to provide energy, give the body structure, and help regulate chemical processes. Their composition affects nutritional and sensory quality of food products. Therefore, elucidating the composition of food is very essential for food production chain. Tables 1 and 2 show some of the examples of micro and micronutrients. What are chemicals in food? Chemical substances play an important role in food production and preservation. These chemicals are categorized as food additives, food supplements, food flavoring, and food enzymes. My contribution to knowledge. Food security, according to 1996 World Food Summit, means that all people at all times have safe and nutritious food that meets their dietary needs and food preference for an active and healthy life. This concept encompasses 4 keys. That is, the food must be available, it must be accessible, it must be well utilized in the body system, it must be stable, that is, there must be consistency in the supply of the food. Food insecurity is a global challenge, with millions facing hunger and malnutrition. Factors like climate change, conflict, poverty, and economic instability can exacerbate food insecurity. Madam Vice Chancellor, my research outputs have impacted enhancement of nutrient quality of food through one, the knowledge of characterization of food chemical constituents of some alternative food sources, and two, the value addition of fortification of some non-conventional and underutilized food sources. In continuation of my contribution to knowledge, characterization of chemicals and nutritional qualities of some underutilized leafy vegetables and the physicochemical composition of their leaf protein concentrate. Madam Vice Chancellor, green vegetables are one of the cheapest and the most abundant potential sources of protein because of their ability to synthesize potential food chemicals in food, such as the amino acids from a wide range of virtually unlimited and readily available primary materials, such as the water, carbon dioxide, atmospheric nitrogen, and sunlight. Aletor, Oshodi, and Ikpi Moroti, 2002, investigated the nutritive chemical composition and nutrient profiles of some leafy vegetables, especially that of cassava leaf, Pannium esculenta, bitter leaf, Vernonia amagdanina, Amaranthus arbutus, that's our common green tete, and Tefaria occidentalis, fruited pumpkins. Also, we did some form of value addition by concentrating the protein in the leafy vegetables through extraction using the low-cost fractionation technique. The flow chart is seen in figure 3. The leaf protein concentrate extracted as shown in plate 1 were subsequently characterized into their nutritional constituent. Our findings. Given the high proximate constituent, especially protein and low fiber, it was suggested that the LPC from this vegetable species may be used in enhancing the nutritional value of some low nitrogen foods such as maize-meal, yam, or corn flour. Our results can be found in tables 3 and 4. Plant proteins have solutions to world shortage of animal protein and investigation of some animal plates or leaf protein concentrate. In Nigeria, most infant weaning food currently in trade are composed mainly of cereal grains and soya bean, which are not readily available in some regions. To reduce the cost and consequently increase their affordability, it is necessary to explore the nutritional potential of leaf protein concentrate. This becomes more imperative now in Nigeria, where there is currently a glut in the inflation of food items. Agbede, Aletor, Agbegbenro, and Mohammed, 2007, fed some clinically healthy weaning albino rats of approximately 3 weeks of age with Vernonia amagdanina, that's the Ewuro leaf protein concentrate. The Vernonia amygdalina was incorporated into the Basa diet at the expense of maize starch to give 10% crude protein on dry matter basis. Nutritional casein was used as the reference diet. The food composition is shown in table 5. One group of the rats was given nitrogen-free diet, and the remaining 2 groups were randomly allocated to the test and the standard diet. Our findings. Fractionation of the Vernonia leaf led to an increase in the crude protein by 26.2% and gross energy by 79.9%, but to a decrease in crude fiber by 81.25%. This result is shown in table 6. The result of biological activity study shows that rats fed Vernonia amygdalina LPC gained higher weights, especially at 25% substitution level when compared with those fed standard diet. This result is shown in table 7. In addition, the performances of rats fed the LPC-based food in most cases were better than those fed the commercial food. This suggests that nutrient-rich weaning food can be prepared by using a Vernonia leaf protein concentrate. Consequently, it is conceivable that kwashiorkor or maramos can be prevented in protein-vulnerable groups using our prepared novel foods. In a related work, Aletor 2012, investigated protein isolate composition from potato protein isolate, soybean protein isolate, as well as protein concentrate from manioc esculenta, that's the cassava leaf, and the Glycida septium, as shown in Table 8. They were all compared with the reference diet, which is the casein, using some protein quality evaluation biopsy indices. The equation is seen in the equation 1 to 7. In addition, their in vitro protein digestibility were evaluated. Our findings: the results showed that all rats felt the leaf concentrate lost weight, while those of potato and soybean gained weight more than the reference diet. Other protein indices were significantly higher in both the SOPI and POPI than the leaf protein concentrate. These results can be seen in Table 9. Furthermore, the study indicated the high potential of proteins isolate as an alternative protein resources for either man or livestock. However, protein quality studies show that the isolate may support growth, while the LPC may not be suitable as a sole protein resources. Moreover, the result on digestibility of this protein, especially the Glycida LPC, indicated that the constituent amino acid may be available to the body. This result can be seen in Table 10. Furthermore, Aletor 2014 investigated the replacement value of Glycida leaf protein concentrate for soybean meal in weaning food for rats using basal composition. From this was derived 5 winning formula, 1 to 5, in which the soybean meal was replaced as 0, 25, 50, 70, and 100% with Glycida LPC. The formulation was done to give 16% dietary protein composition, and thereafter compare nutritionally with the 3 commercial winning food designed as CFF, CFN, and CFC. Our findings: the result revealed weight gain was highest, 3.4 grams, in the formulated diet at 75% SMB substitution level, and lowest in the commercial diet, CFN, just 1.0 gram weight gain. The nitrogen retention in all diets were similar, while other biological indices decreased with increasing level of the SBM replacement. All these results are shown in Table 11. Furthermore, the feed cost per 100 gram weight gain in Naira was about 3 times higher in commercial brands that we got from the market than the LPC-based winning formula. The study concluded that the Glycida LPC provides a more affordable substitute for soybean in formulating infant winning food. With the porousness of our economy, which is further enhancing disease morbidity among protein vulnerable groups, the need to use Glycida LPC as alternative to some low nitrogen food resources may be a welcome idea. This is envisaged to stem the effect of protein deficiency among preschool and school children. By so doing, their intelligent quotient will be enhanced. In a related study, Aletor 2010 assessed the nutritive and physiochemical characteristics of leaf protein concentrate from potato protein isolate and corn gluten, and they were now compared with the animal-based protein. The animal-based protein we use are fish meal and casein. Our findings from the study showed that with regard to proximate constituent and energy value, the relatively high nutrient density of the plant protein concentrate compare well to the animal protein. This result can be seen in Table 12. The study also assessed the amino acid values and found that amino acid in plant protein were in most cases compared with those essential amino acids in the animal protein. This is seen in Table 13. It is noteworthy that the amino acid score, which is the ability of dietary protein to satisfy the amino acid requirement of the different plant proteins, showed results that were higher than the FAO, WHO, UNO 1985 values, which implies to me that our product will be of nutritional benefit than egg. This is shown in our results is shown in Table 14. Madam Vice Chancellor, nowadays, people think deeply about how their diets can influence their health. Food enriched or fortified with nutraceuticals, so biological active ingredient, has been established to be a strategic approach towards the management of micronutrient deficiency and related diseases. Aletor et al. 2013 investigated two popularly consumed snacks, kuli granite-based, which is granite-based, and kokoro, which is from the old maize. This is one of the activities of SEB project. And they are mainly consumed in the northern and the southern parts of Nigeria, respectively. They were enriched, as shown in play 2 and play 3, with some well-known nutraceuticals. And these nutraceuticals are pepper, ginger, sweet basil, orange peel, cocoa powder, soya bean, roselle, and soya bean in the ratio of 1 or 2%. Our findings show that all the sensory attributes of most of these enriched snacks were accepted as good, very good, and extremely good. Result on antinutrient, which is phytate and tannin, show that relative to the control, 2% addition of cocoa powder or pepper to kokoro and kuli significantly increased phytic content. The study further showed that nutraceutical enrichment significantly increased vitamin A in kokoro and kuli. The free phenolic extract and radical scavenging ability from enriched snacks had a significantly higher antioxidant activity than the non-enriched product. All the results are shown in tables 15 to 20. Madam Vice Chancellor, the study clearly shows high potential of enriched traditional snacks in the provision of adequate level of acceptance, vitamins and interesting antioxidant properties. Considering their acceptability and relatively cheap, consumption of snacks and cakes fortified with these nutraceuticals could be a strategic approach towards management of micronutrient deficiency and maintaining good health. This just implies that these two traditional snacks, if rationally enriched with nutraceuticals, can help to stem the morbidity of some prevailing diseases such as diabetes, cancer, prevent production of bad cholesterol, and even leukemia. Madam Vice Chancellor, in food product, my work on indigenous, underutilized, or lesser-known legumes and their value addition. Madam Vice Chancellor, in food products, protein isolates are used to improve some food properties, such as water binding, foaming, gelation, and emulsifying capacities from well-known or conventional protein sources. Lawal and Adebo Ale 2004, Aletor 2010. However, native protein have limited functionality. Native protein are the protein in their natural form. And this has necessitated the need for development of processes to improve plant functional characteristics, especially those from indigenous underutilized legumes that have limited application in industrial food systems. Ishaya Aletor 2016, Ishaya Aletor 2020 investigated two processed underutilized legumes. They had the pigeon pea, Cajanus cajan, and African yam bean, Xenophilus stenocarpa, protein isolate. The flow chart is shown in figure 4, using sodium hydroxide solubilization and acid precipitation at their various isoelectric pH. The isolates were later modified using acetic anhydride, as shown in figure 5. The chemically modified legumes were analyzed with respect to their nutrient density and compared with the more conventional soya bean protein. Our findings: value addition through modification of protein of these underutilized legumes generally improved their protein functionality when compared with the unmodified isolate. The study revealed practical relevance of these underutilized legumes as a good source of desirable quality protein resources in food industry. The result can be seen in tables 21 and 22. In another study, Aletor and Alabi 2011 analyzed the physicochemical properties, nutrient and anti-nutrient composition of 3 species of edible mushrooms. The importance of this study is that recently mushrooms have found greater importance in the diets of rural and urban dwellers, and most especially used as alternative source of meat since the conventional meats such as the beef, pork, chicken have become too expensive for the poor citizens, which constitute over 70% of the Nigeria populace, Aletor 1993. Our findings: using the proximate composition, minerals, most especially the potassium, phosphorus, calcium, and magnesium, functional properties, anti-nutrient composition, and in vitro protein digestibility data as appropriate indices for nutritional quality, it will appear that the nutritional values of these mushrooms fall within the nutritional values of most legumes, meat, egg, and milk. It points to their potentials to narrow the protein mineral deficit prevalent in more developing countries, including Nigeria. Our results are shown in tables 23 to 27. Madam Vice Chancellor, and the distinguished audience, in further studies of underutilized studies, the potential of 3 different species of pulse bean, the ocular reflexer seed, known as Agbaharin by the Yorubas, were investigated by Alabi and Aletor 2011. The 3 species used are the brown-colored, the black-colored, and the light brown pulse bean. Our findings reveal the high nutrient quality show their high nutrient density with promising high values of nutrient composition, as shown in table 28, and high in vitro digestibility, as shown in figure 6. The study confirmed that in terms of both quality and quantity, the ocular reflexer could serve as good source of protein in animal feed. However, processing the seed is recommended due to high value of micronutrient recorded. Efforts to increase availability of protein in man's diet have encouraged the use of local and improved Lacerus sativa species found in the dry areas. So Lacerus species is also known as the grass pea. They are improved through being genetically modified. Aletor 2011 investigated 20 improved lines comprising 10 of Lacerus sativas, 5 lines of Lacerus cicera, and 5 lines of Lacerus oncorus. All were maintained in the Gems Plant Collection of International Center for Agriculture in the dry area, Syria. They were all analyzed for proximate energy values, nutritional values, minerals, functional properties, and in vitro multi-enzyme protein digestibility. The seed flowers from all the species had varying protein solubilities with changes in pH. The protein generally had multiple maxima and minimal solubility with pH changes as shown in figure 7, which indicate their potential for development of different food products. The mean in vitro multi-enzyme protein digestibility ranged from 75.0% in L. sativus to 77.4% in L. cicera. In all, the study clearly showed the high potential of Lacerus in the provision of adequate level of food nutrients. Considering the desirable nutritive characteristics, functional attributes of the flower, and the desirable agronomic traits of Lacerus plant, it is conceivable that it could represent a veritable intervention crop to mitigate the food insecurity challenge, especially in regions with marginal soil and resource-poor base. My contribution to nutrient synthesis in food. Different food processing method highlight its crucial role in making food safe, accessible, and convenient by transforming raw ingredients in edible products, but also acknowledge concern about potential nutrient loss, particularly in highly processed food, which can contribute to health issues. Aletor Owueye and Aletor 2009 investigated the effect of fermentation on the physicochemical composition and multi-enzyme in vitro protein digestibility of African locust bean, Pachydia globosa, and soya bean, Lysine max. My findings shows that fermentation of the underutilized locust bean and the well-known agricultural product, the soya bean, in most cases improve nutrient densities. However, fermentation led to drastic reduction in all the minerals, especially sodium, which may be suitable for hypertensive patients. There was also reduction in potassium, which is needed by the hypertensive patient. Supplemental mineral-rich resources to the fermented product is suggested. as fermentation can precipitate poor mineralization and decline in immunity minerals, such as the iron and zinc. The findings recommended that controlled fermentation be used to modify the chemical, functional, and in vitro digestibility attributes of these seeds for different end use. Our work reported by Afolabi et al. 2019 evaluated the effect of microbial-aided and natural fermentation on amino acid and protein quality of opaca seed, Pentaclera microphylla. Results showed that protein content did not change significantly with fermentation. Non-essential amino acid in the samples were also significantly higher than the essential amino acid. It ranged between 41 to 44%. Based on the essential amino acid pattern requirement for preschool children and adults, the limiting amino acid were sulfur-containing amino acid, methionine and cysteine. However, phenylalanine and tyrosine are the main limiting amino acid for the school children, with chemical score which range between 0.24 to 0.33%. These results are shown in tables 29 to 31. Also, the protein quality of amino acid in opaca seed, determined by the protein digestibility corrected amino acid score, was improved by fermentation across all the human groups. In addition, Oluwatoyin, Aletor, Oluwatoyin, 2024 investigated the effect of natural and bacteria-aided fermentation on the antioxidant and anti-nutrient composition, in vitro starch digestion, and in vitro protein digestibility of orange seeds, as shown in the plate 4. Our findings reveal that the microbial method of fermentation in most cases increased all the antioxidant properties except DPPH, as shown in figure 8. Anti-nutrients, which is the phytate tannin and oxalates, were all significantly reduced, as shown in figure 9, except trypsin inhibitor in unfermented product, as shown in figure 10. In continuation of our nutrient synthesis, findings on in vitro starch digestibility and in vitro protein digestibility reveal decrease in the concentration of maltose, 33.93 milligram per gram in unfermented to 1.05 milligram per gram maltose at 8-day microbial fermentation, which was expected since maltose may have been further broken down to units of glucose, as it may have been used up by the microorganism to produce ethanol and carbon dioxide. In vitro protein digestibility also reduced from 129 to 88.41 milligram protein per gram after long fermentation, 8 days. And this may be connected to the level of phytic acid and total phenolic content. These are shown in figures 11 to 12. Aletor Oguride 2019 worked on 3 different tubers, namely the white yam, the Dioclea rhododata, sweet potato, Ecomia batatas, and cocoyam, Colocasia esculenta, which were differently processed. The processing methods we use are roasted and boiled. The raw served as a control, and all samples were characterized with respect to the approximate composition, anti-nutrient and phytochemical content, sugars and functional groups. Thereafter, the starches were extracted from them and analyzed for sugars after digestion with alpha amylase enzyme. Also, the structural morphology of the extracted starch granules were examined using scanning electron microscope. Our findings on the approximate composition were significantly different. Protein content was decreased in all boiled samples, while the harsh content increased in all roasted tubers. FCIR result in functional groups before and after starch extraction showed no formation of higher molecular compound. These results are shown in table 32 and figures 13A to I. Complex carbohydrate digestion before and after addition of the enzyme revealed digestion were highest in all roasted samples, as shown in table 33. Scanning electron microscope in the starch granules showed an increase in the surface area in boiled sample, which may aid higher digestion, as shown in plates 5A to 5I. Anti-nutrient and phytochemical reduction were more pronounced in the boiled tubers. However, we concluded that it was preferable and healthier to consume boiled tubers due to higher digestibility and reduction in sugars after processing. This may reduce blood sugar, glycemic index, related diseases such as diabetes. Processing generally had effect on the nutritive characteristics of all tubers analyzed. Madam Vice Chancellor, in addition, Abiodun, Aletor, and Alade Sonwa 2012, Aletor and Abiodun 2012, Aletor and Abiodun 2013 evaluated the effect of freeze and sun drying on the nutrient, anti-nutrient, physicochemical, and fatty acids composition of some tropical leafy vegetables, namely the green amaranth, the saint leaf, the basil leaf, the bitter leaf, and the fluted pumpkins. Of the drying method, freeze drying had significantly higher level of crude protein, energy value, anti-nutrient composition than the sun-dried sample. Of the dry samples, freeze drying sample has significantly higher percentage of unsaturated oils, higher iodine value, lower free fatty acid, and lower peroxide value than the sun-drying sample. Hence, freeze drying will appear to be more promising in preserving tropical leafy vegetables. These results are shown in table 34 to 37. Also recently, Adoribigbe and Aletor 2024 investigated the efficacy of the underutilized swamp arum, Lacimophas senegalese seed and leaves extract as antioxidant in increasing the shelf life of some edible oils. These edible oils we use are the crude granite oil and the crude palm kernel oils, as shown in plate 6A to C. This work went further to compare this natural extract with the non-synthetic antioxidant, the butylated hydroxytoluene, BHT. Based on the experimental result, we concluded that both seed and leaf extract of the swamp arum demonstrated significant antioxidant activity, as shown in table 38 to 39. Comparative analysis with standard antioxidant, 200 mg per BHT, revealed that the extract of swamp arum exhibited comparable antioxidant properties, as shown in tables 40 to 41. This suggests that swamp arum extract could serve as an effective natural alternative to synthetic antioxidant, which has been implicated as a carcinogen in preserving the quality and stability of crude oil and palm kernel oil. Our ongoing research. Our group is currently working on the 2023 Third Fund Research Fund grant titled Inventory, Biochemical Characterization, Processing and Utilization of some Forest-Derived Edible Fruits, Leaves, and Mushrooms. It was formerly led by late Professor William Aletor, presently being under the control of Professor Oyun and Professor Badejo. Also, our group is working on 2024 Third Fund NRF grant titled Agronomic Processes of Mitigating Arsenic Accumulation in Rice Grain Across Rice Production Zones in Nigeria. The project is led by Professor J.T. Fasimiri of the Department of Agriculture and Environmental Engineering, FUTA. Madam Vice Chancellor, concluding remarks. Adequate nutrition is one of the pillars of public health. The estimation of nutrient intake from food consumption requires reliable data from food chemical composition. Nigeria is blessed with abundance of conventional and underutilized crops or legumes. And based on the findings of my research and those of others, it is clear that this plant can find solace. The world can find solace in some of the plants I work on for ameliorating some health challenges if rationally blended. Also, the incidence of food shortages, coupled with the increase in the prices of conventional food in developing countries, have given rise to various forms of malnutrition, such as kwashiorkor, maramos, mortality, and disease morbidity, especially among infant and pregnant women. Also, in the course of this lecture, I have established that lesser known and therefore underutilized protein sources will meet the needs of this target group. Moreover, it may be a way of turning waste to wealth. I have established that these food sources may have naturally occurring or man-made non-nutritive substances, or known as also contaminants, which could have detrimental effect on the consumer's health, and this could be minimized if there is proper food chemical compositional data. Finally, in a modest way, I have informed these audience that food processing through the activation of anti-nutrient, microbial nutrient synthesis in food fermentation, and food fortification through value addition would have actually enhanced the nutritional quality and reduce food insecurity. Securing food recommendation. Madam Vice Chancellor, securing food and nutrition security requires a paradigm shift from the current lock-in situation. A lock-in situation arises when institutional role players in decision-making continue with their conventional approach, despite that it is no longer working to the desired or leading to the desired outcome. Therefore, I have the following recommendations. There is need to explore non-conventional pathways, such as underutilized crops as possible food sources. This is premised on the report that they are adapted to a change of agroecologies and are nutrient dense. They offer better prospects in marginal production areas, which could improve availability and access to nutritious food by rural and poor resource people. Their production could also create opportunities for economic development through development of new value chain. Under value addition, there is need for workable strategies for specific nutrient fortification of traditional food produced by the small-scale food industry to mitigate the hidden hunger. Hidden hunger is when we have the deficiency in micronutrients. Under safety, in food processing, it is necessary to ensure safety of ingredients used as technical aid, additives, flavoring, and coloring. Such safety assessment require the analysis of test data, chemical specification for substances involved, and information on human dietary consumption level and patterns. Under professionals, there should be synergy of highly trained specialists in toxicology, nutrition, chemistry, food composition, and risk assessment experts to harmonize information on human dietary consumption levels and make a clear safety assessment decision on food security. Under industry, synergy should be encouraged between the researchers and the food industry to provide up-to-date and appropriate science-based advice on matters related to nutrition, food quality, security, and safety. Under government policy, recommendation for government, consumers expect the government to look after their interests in making sure that food industry produces safe and nutritious food, so that risks to human will be minimized, if not eradicated. Therefore, the government should provide financial and technical resources to give such assurances, especially in developing countries, Nigeria inclusive. Acknowledgement. Madam Vice Chancellor. First, let me appreciate the everlasting Father, the faithful, the merciful God, for his steadfast love to me and my family. I return all glory and honor to the King of Kings, the one that is worthy of all praise, for thus far he has helped me and my family. I thank all the Vice Chancellors and the current one, Professor Mrs. Adenike Temidayo Oladiji, for their contribution towards my academic career. My deep appreciation to Professor Adebisi Balogun. There is a saying that it is after death you know and recognize a true friend. Thank you, sir, for the love you have shown in cash and kind for the family since the death of my husband. My unreserved gratitude goes to my mentors, Professor Ehe Oshodi and late Professor Ikpimoroti, for supervising my master's and PhD research. All the past deans of School of Sciences are well appreciated. I deeply acknowledge Professor O.K. Koriko, the sitting dean when my leadership and professorship were announced. I'm also thankful to the current dean of School of Physical Sciences, Professor Evi Adebola. Special thanks to all the listed colleagues in the Department of Chemistry for their supportive role. Professor A.O. Adebayo, our current HOD. Professors Kokuola, Amoo, Ayesomi, Adetuyi, Okoronko, Ogunshiyi, Ojo, Akmamba, Eme Adebayo, Olasende, Tomori, Owokotomo, Oladele, Doctors, Oluwashino Abata, Jaba Adelaja, Obaseki, Alabi, Adeyemi, and Mr. Oba, and the non-teaching staff, Owóẹ̀yẹ Oseke Akínọlá Ọláoyè, Akínmọ́ládùn, Dr. Oluwasukanmi Abe Ajayi, Mrs. Ibeto, Adelugba Falalu, Yahaya and Oko for their contribution toward the success of this lecture. Thank you all. My gratitude goes to the following listed colleagues who have been wonderful, especially after the death of my husband, Professor and Mrs. Oluwashola Agbede, Professor M.B. Oyun, Mr. Lekan Lawal, Professor Johnson Fashimiri, Professor Chumba Arum, Professor Ganiyu Obo, Professor Gbenga Onibi, Professor Mrs. Oluwatoyin Oluwadahunsi, Mrs. Fumi Omoba, Professor Mrs. Deke and Pastor Adegunloye, Professor and Professor Mrs. Alex Odiyi, Professor Mrs. Olulope Olaleye, Professor and Professor Mrs. Ogushote, Professor and Mrs. Afolayan, Professor Kola Oladumoye, and also others, too numerous to mention. Thank you all. I cannot forget members of the staff of Osun State University Osogbo for accepting me to do my sabbatical with them in 2018. Many thanks to Professor Ademisi Balogun for approving grant for me to attend Food and Environment Conference, which took place June 2011, the Quest for Sustainable Future, at Wessex Institute of Technology, Southampton, UK, and presented a paper titled Nutrient Constituent Functional Attributes and In Vitro Protein Digestibility of Seeds of Lactose. I am highly appreciative of FUTA-SEB for granting conference support in 2010 to Food and Environment 2, which took place in Hungary, Budapest, where I presented a paper titled Anti-Nutrient Content, Vitamins, Constituent, and Antioxidant Properties in Some Value-Added Snacks. I also thank Ford Foundation New York for sponsoring me to attend 126th OMIC International Conference, World Nutraceutical and Expo Philadelphia, that took place in US, July 2015, and presented a paper titled Physicochemical Characterization and Antioxidant Properties of the Seeds and Oils of Ginger and Garlic. Unalloyed appreciation goes to my late husband, Professor V. Aletor, and his nephew, Godfrey Aletor, who sponsored my trip to Germany 2019 to attend Tropentang 2019 conference, where I presented a paper titled Comparative Evaluation of the Composition, Digestibility, and Functionality of Chemically Modified Protein Isolate from soybean and some underutilized legumes. To all my present and past students, I say a very big thank you. The love and support of my late husband club members, Club Elon, and their DGMs cannot be forgotten, especially during his burial, and occasional calls and support to the family is highly appreciated. I deeply acknowledge the Sister for Life 1977 to 82 set of Anglican Girls Grammar School, Ijebu-Ode. Please permit me to appreciate the people of God around me. I am really indebted to them for their prayers and support. The chaplain of St. Albert Futa, Father Tai Oludare, and all the St. Albert Catholic Church members, thank you all. The regional overseer of MFM Southwest 58, Araromi, Akure, Pastor Oluwagbenga Adeyemi, and Pastor Ademola Adeniyi, regional overseer of MFM Southwest 4, behind Adesupa Hotel, Akure, and all the MFM church members. You are all well appreciated. I am eternally grateful to my late mom and dad, Mr. and Mrs. Marcos Olufumi Odejayi, for their contribution to my education. May the good Lord continue to rest your soul. My love and appreciation go to my siblings and their prayers. They are Mrs. Olubumi Olufunsho, Owodunni, Mrs. Abosede Olufunke Adeyemo, Mr. Segun Victor Odejayi, and Dr. Olorunfemi Emmanuel Odejayi. With deep love, I acknowledge my in-laws. They had Dr. Chief Gabriel and Dr. Mrs. Abiodun Aletor, Dr. Isikweme and Dr. Mrs. Celestina Aletor, late Dr. and Mrs. Andrew Aletor, and late Dr. Samson and Mrs. Kate Aletor. Thank you all. To my support system and God-given children, Jennifer Ejemeri Aletor, Jessica Edward Aletor, Jeremiah Isimeme Aletor, and all their friends, thanks for being a great companion and a pride to me. Madam Vice Chancellor, permits me to appreciate late Professor Valentine Aletor, a good-hearted, loving, and devoted husband, as well as God-given mentor. I remember when my letter of approval for this inaugural lecture came. Then it was on his sick bed. And I remember him saying, I quote, and I quote, that day will be a memorable day, but I pray to God to heal me totally. But God had other plans, other plans, and who am I to question God? He has done his bit and run his race with a graceful hand. Thank you for the work you did, for all the love you gave to everyone unconditionally, even to those who wronged you. I thank God for your generosity of spirit, for being a worthy role model, especially to your mentees. May your soul continue to rest in perfect peace. Amen. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Can we please resume our seat as we give a hand of applause to our own Professor Oluwatoyin Aletor. Thank you, Prof, for that well-delivered lecture. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is customary for us to recognize some persons in our midst. So at this juncture, please permit me to recognize our own Emeritus Professor Adebisi Balogun, the former Vice Chancellor here in FUTA. Thank you, sir, for coming and being a friend to late Professor Aletor. We also recognize Emeritus Professor Cornelius Ademosun. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. We recognize Emeritus Professor Akinla Sende and his amiable wife. Thank you, sir and ma, for always finding time to come. With us today again, we have a former acting Vice Chancellor of FUTA and the present Pro-Chancellor, Ekiti State Polytechnic, in person of Professor Adedayo Fashakin. Thank you very much, sir. We are grateful. We have with us Professor Tom Ofuya, is a former Vice Chancellor, Wellspring University. Thank you, sir, for coming. He is also a retired part of FUTA. We have with us our own person, we call him Professor Oke, a former council member of FUTA, Professor Kolade Koriko. Thank you for always coming. And thank you for being okay in your owner's corner. We have with us Professor Adekunle Amo, is a former Pro-Chancellor, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Thank you, Professor Amo, for coming. Is from the department of the inaugural lecturer. We have with us somebody I call my sister and friend, a former registrar here in FUTA, Professor Mudupe Ajayi. Thank you, ma, for always coming. We are grateful. We have also Professor Adenike Abiolu, the former acting university librarian. Thank you, ma, for coming. And also Professor Olatunde Arayela is the former Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic here in FUTA. Thank you for sustaining the culture and always coming. Distinguished colleagues, we have with us again Reverend Father Tai Oludare, the chaplain of St. Albert's Catholic Chaplaincy in FUTA. Thank you for coming, sir. We have Pastor Adeyemi Oluwagbemiga. Pastor Adeyemi, thank you, sir, for coming. We have Mrs. Nikedari. Mrs. Nikedari, thank you, ma, for coming. We have Chief Jide Owolabi. Chief Jide Owolabi, we are grateful that you are with us today. We have Mrs. Tony Omonori. Thank you, ma, for coming. We have with us Mrs. Aletor Miwa. Thank you, ma'am, for coming. We have Mr. Yele Onatufo. Mr. Yele Onatufo, thank you for coming. Mrs. Kate Aletor. Mrs. Kate Aletor, thank you, ma, for joining us. We have Dr. Adesua Aletor. Thank you very much, doctor, for joining us. We have Mrs. Bomi Owodone. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. We have Mrs. Bosede Adeyema. Mrs. Bosede Adeyema, thank you for coming. We have Mr. Shegun Odejayi. Thank you, Mr. Odejayi. We also have with us the group that the inaugural lecturer described as Sister for Life. Sister for Life, 1977 to 82 set. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, we are grateful. Thank you very much. We have members of the Mountain of Fire and Miracles Ministry. If you are from the MFM, please rise up so we recognize you. Thank you very much for coming and supporting our inaugural lecturer. Thank you, we are grateful. We have members of the St. Albert's Catholic Church in Futa. If you are from St. Albert's, please rise so that we also recognize you. Thank you very much from St. Albert's Catholic Chaplaincy. We have the Eland Club. Members of the Eland Club, we recognize you and we thank you for coming. Are you here? Thank you very much, Eland Club. We also recognize and thank the members of OWSD, Futa. If you are part of OWSD, whether Futa or from any other place, please rise. Let us recognize you also. OWSD members, thank you very much for celebrating your colleague women scientists. I have also here with us Pastor Ademola Adeniyi, is from the mega regional overseer of MFM Akure. Thank you, Pastor Niyi. He is also my pastor. Thank you, sir, for coming. We have with us also the members of the immediate family member of the inaugural lecturer. We have Jennifer Aletor, daughter of the inaugural lecturer. Thank you very much for joining us. We have Jessica Aletor, also daughter of the inaugural lecturer. And we have Jeremiah Aletor, is the son of the inaugural lecturer. Thank you very much for joining us. We also join the inaugural lecturer to remember our late elder statesman and colleague, Professor Valentine Ayobore Aletor. Madam had described him as a good-hearted, loving, and devoted husband, as well as a God-given mentor. Thank you very much for remembering him even on this occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, how will you be remembered? I want to now at this point recognize the most important group of people here in our midst. Great Futarians, you are the most important and you are the best. Thank you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, before we close proceedings, I'd like to intimate you with a couple of announcements. Immediately after now, all our professors, as they exit the auditorium, some persons will meet them. For staff of the School of Physical Sciences, they are expected at the car park of the Obafemi Awolowo Auditorium. Other staff of the university, you are expected at the Aletor Auditorium. For the most important people here, great Futarians, immediately after now, I will tell you where you should congregate. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, shall we rise for the Futa as well as the national anthems? Great Futarians, great Futarians, ever winning,
island now. For national progress, academic excellence is a tradition, technology for self-reliance. Self-reliance, yes, self-reliance, yes, promoting of unity and coordination, independence of technology. The shining example, the pride of Nigeria, with the blessings on our side, we shall not miss it. For self-reliance. Nigeria, we hail thee, our only native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all and proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle, honor and peace we count as gain. To pride unto our children, a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. And so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed.
We will remain standing as the procession of Madam Vice Chancellor exits the auditorium. We will remain standing. Great Futurians, all the students, you are expected at the CCE car park. All students, many are called.